And if McLovin's in the building, let me put that on. Wagwan Generals. Yo, respect. That's better. Sounds clean. Okay. Okay. So this is what we got to do. Everything's cleaned up. Everything's looking proper. Let's run the intro. Why Always Me, episode 33, Vader Games in the building. Fantastic viewers. Thanks for tuning in, supporting the channel. I have a lot to get off my mind, and I'm so thankful that I'm going to be able to interact with all of you. If you happen to be new to the channel, do me a favor. It means the world. It is priceless, but it costs you nothing. Hit that follow button, like that button, and share it with your groups. Any group chats you happen to be in, share it, and let's have this conversation. All right, it's hugely appreciated. Let me start off by saying I think I might have to do 2 shows a week on a regular. I mean, I I was having such a great conversation with True City fan Patrick and the Gundalorian early in the week. They were able to join the show. I'm looking to do that more often. And on top of that, I've got my show, Why Always Me, where it's kind of like me speaking out loud to the world. And bonus throughout the week, not sure of timing wise, I also get a chance to talk with Football and Chill, which is on True City Fans channel, as well as I can't get enough of this, but I had the pleasure of being on a panel show as well with HH Have Hope. Fantastic show. Go there, show support, subscribe to that channel as well. There's so much happening right now, and if I haven't mentioned your name, I will in the future. Best believe. Thank you everyone for supporting the channel. Getting good reviews. Everything's looking clean, and we're going to build from here. Now, you see the topics here on the screen. You see the topics here on the screen. You know what I'm going to run through. You know what I'm going to run through and what I'm going to have to talk about. I'm not going to waste any time. I'm going to get right into it. Right into it. The transfer window's kicked off. Okay? Transfer window's kicked off. All of our respective teams we're looking at, we're trying to assess, hey, are they improving on the weaknesses? Are they making decisions based off of salaries, based off of contracts, or players going out the door? Because things need to be managed. Because again, football is a business, right? Football is a business. So we're all looking at what kind of moves are taking place. And it's no surprise. I'm a Manchester City fan. You guys know this. That's why you tuned in. Rivals tune in too, because I not only speak about Manchester City, I speak about the rival clubs as well. And not everything is banter. Not everything is for the kill shot. We talk football here. You know, I express an opinion and maybe a different opinion from what many kind of have in mind. I see the comments on screen. I'm definitely going to put them up. I'm going to put them up as I talk this through. Edison's in the building. Thanks for tuning in. Gundalorian did like the tweet that I put out with regards to timing, but like True City fan just said, Gundalorian's out there jet setting, living large in Dubai. So I don't expect him to tune in, but I do expect to see some fantastic photos from my man when he does get back. Shout out to Gundal, living the dream. Now, that first topic here, this first topic that's on screen, good time for change. It's a good time for change across the board. It's a good time for change across the board, not only for Manchester City fans, but also some of these rival fans. But let me first talk about Manchester City. We've had some fantastic seasons, and no one's ever going to forget 4 and 5, right? We're not going to forget 4 and 5, 4 EPLs in 5 years. But there's all obviously titles that have eluded us that we still want to go for. And we can look at our team as a whole and say, everyone healthy, we probably power through, we get it done. Fair point. But then also as Manchester City fans and knowing the players that have kind of left us, the Agueros, even though he's a legend, statue out front, has to be. But even players like Fernan Torres, who was a role player within the squad, has left for a profit, but was never replaced. When we're pursuing the elusive titles that we haven't reached yet, we need a full squad. If injuries happen, we still need to be able to adjust and compete. And we, in this transfer window, are looking to strengthen where we need to strengthen, or what I should say is fill in spots that have been vacated with departures. Holland coming to the team. For me, Holland is Aguero's replacement. We never replaced him. Julian Alvarez coming to the team. Y'all may disagree. Is, in my view, Ferran Torres' replacement. And no disrespect, I think it's an upgrade. Now, this transfer window, a lot of rumors with Jesus, strong rumors now. Jesus going out the door. That means someone's going to have to fill in. Not seeing any rumors with regards to players. Maybe someone with regards to the academy gets promoted up. We see a transition similar to what happened to Phil Foden to get into that spot. I think that's a strong possibility. But when we go from top down, we see that as a club, we need to strengthen and we need to make sure that we have the bodies in all positions because we know it's a long season. We've done it before where injuries have hindered the success that we believe we could have earned, deserved. So when I look at that and I look at the changes that we're making, okay, we're strengthening. We're doing our best at strengthening, but obviously you can't just strengthen. You're going to lose players. The same is happening across the other clubs. The same is happening with the Arsenals, with the Uniteds, with the Tottenham Spurs, with the Chelseas, with the Liverpools. We've all fallen short of our goals last season, and because of that, you have to find moments to strengthen your squad. And now's the time to do it. I see a lot of the fan bases, and this is going across the board, being so dismissive and second guessing the clubs and thinking that the decisions being made, why at this time, why are you doing it now? I'm going to go into this in greater depth with regards to Liverpool. As you see the topic on the screen, Liverpool Klopp Phase 2. I'm going to go into more depth about it. But clubs need to take their licks right now. Clubs need to maybe take the risk because, and not to sound cocky, not to sound dismissive, but everyone is looking at Manchester City and saying they've only gotten better. So for Manchester City to have only gotten better in many eyes, I'm not so quick to say that the league's a foregone conclusion. It's a transfer window. So much is going to happen. But for so many to obviously say that Manchester City have strengthened in their locks for being the strongest contender for this league, then all the other clubs need to make their changes now. Now's the time to take the chances. Now's the time to take the risk and maybe float around with a different squad, different approach. This is the good time for change. All fans need to be embracing this change right now. You need to, because if you, it's like what Arsenal did a couple seasons ago, the youth movement, and how Manchester United were more reluctant. They looked to just get another big name, right? They looked to get another name to just go after challenging for the league in their eyes. They did it the wrong way. They didn't notice the time to actually make a substantial change and pursue. They were looking for a stopgap. They were looking for managers to just fill a void or to keep things running as is. And I think many clubs need to do what Arsenal has done. Rip it off like a Band-Aid and just go for it. That's what they need to do. Let me look at these comments real quick. Big Morgan in the building. Rodri's birthday. Rodri, big game, Rodri. Amazing highlights of the season. No denying that. Man stepped up big. And like Gundogan, like Sterling, like Zinchenko, we can't ignore Rodri's role. Final final EPL Sunday and what that man delivered with that goal. No denying what he did. Evening, Martin. Thanks for tuning in. I know we've missed each other recently. Thanks for being on the show, my guy. I'm hoping that it's going to be a great conversation. Thanks for your comment. I will answer that at the end of the window. This window is going to be long. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the window doesn't end until end of August. We're June 22nd right now. This transfer window is going to be painful. And another reason why it's going to be painful is Manchester City's rumored with every damn player. Every player under the sun seems to be tied to Manchester City, as well as almost everyone under our roster, with the exception of a few, are rumored to be leaving. It's killing me. I don't know if it's coming up on the camera, but enough platinum hairs are coming through with this stress. A lot of these platinum hairs are starting to grow. Respect, Martin. The hand of Rod was huge. The hand. Don't say that too loud for Liverpool fans. Big up, Morgan. Thank you guys for the comments. I'm putting them on screen. I appreciate you guys heavily. September 1st is when the window closes. That's what I'm saying. That's this window. This window is going to be rough. Be patient. Stay hydrated. Pace yourselves, guys, because it's going to be a marathon of a window. But I want everyone, again, we should embrace this change with regards to the squad, understanding that football, the business of football, there's a life cycle. All right. And I joked about this with a GIF on Twitter, the circle of life, and we can all remember it. I mean, we should all be old enough, young enough to know the Lion King and the circle of life. But in this case, it's the football circle of life. And players come and players go, right? Managers come, managers go. And contracts are signed and contracts end. It's rough. It's a rough life that needs to be accepted by many fans. And I'm going to go into depth about how this new football and the contract lengths that many of us are going to just have to accept from a fan, and maybe how we commit to some of these players. I'm going to definitely get into that. And I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I just want to make sure to shout this out at this point in the season, as I'm going to be looking to do a show a week. And I think it'll be a great way to maybe go back and discuss. But as of now, I would say team to team, the Spurs are leading this transfer window. The Spurs are leading this transfer window in terms of strengthening, taking the vision of their manager, committing to this manager, because we all know, had he not, I think this manager's out the door. But committing to Conte, and Conte getting the players, I think, to play his style of football. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Everyone that's dropping the comments. Spurs are going to be a problem. The Spurs are going to be a problem just because of how Conte's approach to football. Like, he has no problem being sound defensively, compact, tight, and just looking for a counter, just looking to upset, disrupt a win, earn a tie, and in his case against Manchester City. And it still kills me that he wasn't responsible for the 2 losses, right? We lost to the Spurs first game of the season, but to upset Manchester City, and I think he's going to upset many of the top clubs. Spurs are looking dangerous. Let me get to these comments real quick. I got to make sure where I left off. Martin goes, I'm all for the youth coming through, but those to replace Sterling and Jesus is madness. That is Martin. I think we liked similar tweets to what we both posted. I'm in agreement. Especially when we look at, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but when we look at Champions League and we look at like deep within the season, we got to rely on experience. We got to rely on the players that know the difficulties, right? Know the stresses that come to players that late in the season and for those matches being so important. And then I also can't dismiss the fact that Pep's system of football is not an easy thing to adjust to. And I know we have a similar system from top to bottom, right? What we do from team one all the way through the academy is supposed to be very similar. But to play Pep's style of football, the Manchester City style of football under Pep, isn't something that a player can just pick up year one. And I am very hesitant for it to only be Foden and Mahrez if Jesus and Sterling end up leaving, for those to be the only two that know Pep's system like the back of their hand. We're going to be relying on first year. We're going to rely on second year Grealish, first year Holland, first year Alvarez, and first year truly academy players to be filling those roles. It's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, especially as we're pursuing the elusive titles that aren't in our cabinet right now. Shout out to Edison. Thanks for the comments, my guy. Chelsea giving us Ziyech on a bargain. Edison is a AC Milan fan. All right. Shout out for being out here talking with me. Friends, we're friends from back in the day. We played in an esports league, the IEGA, where we had to rep our squads. I obviously rep Man City. He repped AC Milan. They were battles within the league. We're friends, been friends ever since. But the rumors with regards to AC Milan and them trying to win back to back is going to be interesting. I'm going to get your feelings later in this show about Lukaku returning to the league. Martin goes, I want them to learn off them, not replace them. 100%. I would love the tutoring, the mentorship that happens between experience and youth. 100%. It's going to be interesting to see who remains. And again, I still have my doubts on whether Sterling is really going to leave. For what I'm seeing right now, the numbers just don't make sense. Big Morgan in the building. Sterling doesn't realize how lucky he is to be in this squad with his lack of ability. Ooh, you know what? This is where it's really interesting, and this experimentation is actually amazing because when I do this show solo late at 10 p.m. my time, so it's crazy late UK time, but because of the time in the evening, the interaction isn't at peak levels. I love this. And I find that we can go really off of one topic and talk at length and have a fantastic conversation. So I'm gonna play around with this and see where it leads, because I'm also conscious to have the shows pretty concise so that it's not overwhelming from a time standpoint with what commitments you guys may have as viewers. Martin also goes, maybe I'm in the minority here, but youth need to play all League Cup and even FA Cup games. You know what? I wouldn't say you're wrong for that. And obviously, we wouldn't have a completely 11 players, like 11 youth players playing within those matches. But I do agree with you that the majority of the youth should be playing that level, especially, here's where I'm in agreement, is because the youth did so well in terms of slapping up their division. So their age group, with regards to showing that they're capable, showing that they're up for that challenge, they've shown that they're strong players. So trusting them to play now first team, play in these cups is deservingly so. I think we can sprinkle in the experience in youth and actually have fantastic rotation. It's also a matter of, and here's where we all need to hold hands and be in agreement. If we are going to give the youth the chance to play, and we're trusting the youth to gain this experience, if they happen to fall short, we don't crucify them for it. We don't hold it over their heads for the remainder of their careers. We know that it's a learning moment. We know that it's kind of like their apprenticeship. They're going to have some mistakes. We just have to make sure as a fan base that we don't hold it over them. And in this day and age, it's pretty tough. I think a lot of the decisions being made is because of this Everything's recorded, everything's regurgitated, everything's posted back again to be relived over and over again. I think some of it is protecting our youth players from some of those difficulties, but we'll have to see on that one. I'm absolutely loving the commentary within the chat. I want to also point out that experience and this life cycle of football players, contracts, it's different now. It's different where players are running out contracts. Players aren't committing at for the same length of time. Players are going to be treated differently. And we also need to change how we look at players and maybe how we decide to categorize them, right? A player that's maybe not looking to be committal in interviews or in any type of correspondence, if they're not willingly gushing and saying, I'm here, I'm a lifer, I don't think we as fans need to start internalizing that and saying that they're not for the badge or they're not for the club or they're not committed. It's an unfortunate byproduct of the business. They know that the club may decide based off of your age, we're moving on. The club may decide based off of your quality and our wage structure and age, because again, it's never just one thing. It's a combination of things. But a club may decide based off of your age, based off of what your quality demands or what your expectations are salary-wise. A club may decide on based off of business what happens with regards to your name and jersey sales, what it means for us. And it may be thank you for your service, but we have to part ways. And I'm seeing that a lot. I'm seeing that a lot right now. And again, many Manchester City fans are, I don't want to say experiencing that for the first time, but this transfer window is actually more reflective of the era before Pep in a way. If we think about the players that were here prior to Pep, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the only remaining players are Raheem Sterling, Kevin De Bruyne. I think those are the only two remaining players prior to Pep. So business-wise, contract-wise, football circle of life, you can see why players are going to be ushered out or not renewed. It sucks. It absolutely sucks. Sterling's one of my favorite players. But you obviously can't be stuck in the past. You know what I mean? You can't, and you have to be looking towards the future. And that's just, and again, Manchester City has shown that they've made that top of mind as how they've managed players and gotten players in and out of the club with regards to the quality that they can provide, the salaries that we can provide, and so on. Thank you all for the comments. I'm gonna put them on screen. I may not speak to them specifically, but I want to put them on screen and share them with you guys as I'm doing my best to kind of get through these topics. But I want to encourage the fan base to know that this cycle of life happens, and it doesn't need to result in speaking negatively of the players that have put in fantastic service, of players that have been warriors for us. That's the beauty about sport, right? That's the beauty about competition, is that you don't have perfect players in every position, right? We've all played sports. I'm absolutely confident of that. We've all played sports at some level. We know that there's two captains choosing players, and sometimes you happen to be on a team that isn't that great, but you also happen to be on the team that's very different from your opponents. You have certain strengths, they have certain strengths. And the beauty about competing and trying to win is that you're trying to minimize what you don't do well, and then you're obviously trying to maximize the things that you do well while penalizing your opponents for the things that they don't do well. And I love that aspect of it. And when we look at the players that we have, yes, no one's a complete player. As fantastic as Bernardo Silva is, Kevin De Bruyne is, Mahrez is, Sterling is, Jesus has been, Rodri's been, Foden has been, even Holland and Alvarez who are coming in, Stones, Walker, Cancelo, Ederson, all fantastic players, but they're not complete. They're not perfect. They're not 100. They're not 99 ratings all across their FIFA cards. But that's what the sport is. The sport is to try to make that collection of imperfect players be the perfect team. And I hate seeing how, and again, maybe it's just a matter of social media. It's a matter of these Twitter spaces, a matter of Twitter. It's a matter of comments on YouTube, that it's easy to just hit players with the things that they don't do well, the negativity. I'm not one to bash teammates. And yes, I'm not on the Manchester City team, but that's kind of like how I look at it as a fan. I'll be outraged at some missed plays and opportunities, but to really crush and kill your own players, I'm not for it. And I definitely don't think we need to be doing that to players that are now rumored to be leaving the club. It's just me. Aguero, Company, Silva, Bell, Summerby. We've had players, they put in fantastic shifts, careers, and that's what we need to take it as. Not an opportunity to point out their negativity. All right. Martin goes, a lot of PSD do cheap FFP. We don't. Okay, that's another conversation. Big Morgan actually hit me with, by Gnabry. God willing, that happens. The rumors are crazy. The rumors are absolutely crazy. McLovin, I think, was confirming that there's only 2 players remaining pre-Pep. So it's going to be a new transition. And Big Morgan goes, KDB is our best player. If he's not 10, get a new calculator. KDB is our best player. He is our best player. I'm not going to say that he's absolutely perfect, because if he was absolutely perfect, he would. Yeah, I'm going to just leave it at that. But couldn't ask for a better player. Could not ask for a better player at his position. He is amazing. Now to the topics real quick, and I want to point out. Yes, we talked about Stur's transfer season. They are leading it. Arsenal, and this is where it's kind of interesting. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but I want to make it a point. And I forgot to do this, so bear with me as we get into it. Let me put this on screen, because it's something I want to be more consistent with. Where do we go? Let me try this. That was my new transition. I messed around with it. I want to see what it's like. I might stick to the tried and true one. But let me say this. It's funny how the Spurs and Arsenal rivalry is. Like, they almost have their, if I end the season better than you, despite not having any cups, it's a successful season. Like, amongst that fan base, I think it's absolutely interesting. It's funny, fantastic to observe. But I have to say this, and I'm going to continue to bring it up with more specific and details when the names are kind of nailed down. But the movements that the Spurs are doing, Arsenal are leveling up. And it's funny because I think the leveling up is happening at such a greater degree because of how Tottenham Spurs are moving. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you guys think differently, but I think Arsenal, funny enough, are making serious movements because their rivals, the Spurs, are doing so well. And it's going to be a great season in a season to observe because we saw how the EPL was having, the makeup match scheduled for maximum drama. We can also see that there's a season within itself between Spurs and Arsenal fans and who finishes where and who's the bigger club, who's the most attractive club, things like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing at the end of this transfer window who actually is in the best position to now beat the other one, because that is a huge thing for those two clubs. So yeah, I want to make sure I got that pointed out. Now, let me do this. Thank you. We got to talk about this. And again, I'm going to do my best not to rant, but I'm going to get some things off my chest. I obviously listen to what's happening on the socials, conversations, some of the topics, noticing things that are trending. The mere fact that many, quote unquote, football knowledgeable men and women, boys and girls, tried to say that Jack Grealish was the biggest flop of the season. All of you that said that had your stance, had your perspective. You were wrong at the time, and you're proven wrong now. Lukaku back to Inter after coming to Chelsea for 100 million or 97 million is the biggest flop of the season. It is the record-setting transfer debacle, transfer mishap, transfer misplay of all time. It's exceeded Pogba leaving on a free twice from Manchester United. It's exceeded Alexis Sanchez from Arsenal to United. This saga, this soap opera of Lukaku, Inter, and Chelsea is finally over, but it is hands down the worst ever. That has to be understood, agreed to. I don't see how it could be seen any differently. And Lukaku as a player was so promising. He was so promising for the mere fact that he did his thing at Everton. And again, yeah, as a younger player, he's raw. He had a knack of scoring goals. And as a player, everyone wants to go to the next, right? You want to challenge yourself at the quote unquote bigger club or challenge yourself at the club that will give you a greater opportunity at winning trophies, right? Playing at the larger stage. So you don't fault him for it. But the moves that he's made and the way that he's played coming back to the EPL has absolutely tarnished his career. And his legacy's not over, but there's a terrible stain on it right now. And I'm not going to absolve Chelsea of any of it. Chelsea, and I've said this on a previous show, and if you want, go into Bader Games TV, Why Always Me, do a quick search. Bader Games, strikers go to die, maybe. Strikers to Chelsea, terrible idea. Terrible idea. Managers to United, terrible idea. We'll see what Erik ten Hag does. But strikers to Chelsea, managers to United, But we'll have to see what happens there. Let me go to the comments real quick. In February, I was angry at Kessie for being a Barcelona free agent. And at the end of the season, I saluted him and said goodbye like Nesta. Edison, I know you're a player. I know you're a man that holds grudges, but it's good for you to look back on things and to be able to share it objectively, I guess. Edison goes, I'm not scared of Lukaku. You're not scared of Lukaku returning back to Serie A. Interesting. The way I see it, Zangi is different from Conte, and Lukaku might have a disagreement with him and won't work. That's actually fair. That's fair. He's not going back to the team that he left, right? The manager that obviously showed him a lot of trust, that he trusted and got the best out of him, is no longer there. Lukaku did say, "Hey, wait for me. Don't go anywhere. I'm coming back." The man did stay true to his word. He did stay true to his word. And Edison also goes, Conte was the guy that made Lukaku. That's a fair point. It's going to be interesting. All eyes are going to be on Lukaku in Serie A. Funny enough, like there's no doubt Lukaku's brought eyeballs over to Serie A to pay attention to see how this soap opera ends. That's there's no doubt about that. Lukaku Inter is crazy. And as I talked about earlier with regards to good time for change, if Chelsea's going to make moves, and again, if a lot of people are already looking at, it's going to be a 2-team league, it's going to be City and Liverpool again. Now's the time to take our lumps and try to adjust. Let's get rid of dead wood. Let's fix the home. Let's fix the foundation. Now's the time to do it. Lukaku leaving makes a lot of sense. And from one player leaving to another player leaving, and let me hit up this transition. Mane free to Bayern. And you guys might be like, why'd you phrase it like that? Mane free to Bayern. I mean freed. I am only giving you my perspective. A little pet peeve of mine, and I don't know if you guys have noticed this, and hopefully I don't mess up your ears moving forward. But when people say me, myself, personally, or be myself, or my personal opinion, or just me, my opinion, you don't need to say the two. You don't need to say for me, or just me personally. I don't know. I've been hearing a lot lately, and maybe it's my ears being a little too sensitive. Apologies for that. But Mane free to Bayern is what I've seen. I've seen how Mane has had to conduct himself at Liverpool with the forced rivalry that obviously rivals is made between Salah and Mane. You know, the fan base themselves, I've actually seen them pick sides, oddly enough. But he could not be himself. He could not be the king of Africa that he deserved to be referred to by everyone because of what the man was able to do at AFCON and what the man was able to do with regards to World Cup. But even that level of communication and distinction that should have been made from the club itself with tweets and graphics and even like maybe like logos or transition imagery of having Mane in all his glory, it had to be understated. It had to be understated because of Mohamed Salah. And they shouldn't conflict each other. You know what I mean? It shouldn't have been a one versus the other. But you could clearly see that how Liverpool had to move with regards to managing the two superstars, that they had made their choice on who got the priority, who was prioritized, who was promoted more. And as a player, you see that, right? This what I'm describing with regards to Mane and Liverpool is very different amongst all the clubs. Don't make it seem like I'm talking like this only happens at Liverpool. No. But a player feels that. A player knows like I'm not really getting the love that I should be getting. I'm not Manchester City fan. I'm not getting the birthday cake that I deserve. I'm feeling that. All right? Poor joke. But I'm feeling that. And it's not I'm not vibing with it anymore. I want something different. I want to be properly recognized. And not only that, we as fans today know what players are making. We know what the salaries are. Mane knows for what he's done, for how he's delivered, for the blood and tears, sore muscles, aching bones. Man wasn't paid the way he thought he should be paid. The man wasn't offered a increase, which clubs do. So when all that plays out, and we've all been there, we have all been there. You're doing a job that you are actually happy with, you're committed to, but you happen to learn that someone else doing equal to you, or maybe they're doing better than you, but how they're being treated and compensated far exceeds the difference between you and them with regards to performance. You're irked. And it piles on. It's like a snowball. It gets to the point where, nah, moving on. The vibes aren't right. This agreement, this you looking out for me putting my all isn't equal. I see that you've got a great deal. You're not looking to improve it with me. It is what it is. I take the loss. I'm accepting it. It's business, but I got to move on. And the reason why I also got to say Mane's free to Bayern is now Mane's free to get that extra dough that he was looking for, deservingly so. And from a player standpoint, and I won't even go into it, but what he does with regards to his community is larger than himself. It's larger than himself. So he's looking at, hey, I'm not being selfish for me, right? I'm being selfish for others like me, and I want to make that change. I'm not mad at him. So let me go to these comments real quick. Thank you so much. Edison goes, Bayern doesn't get the attention that they keep getting. Oh wait, Bayern doesn't get the attention that they keep getting top players, but don't win UCLs. Bayern deserves the attention, man. I know they are the biggest fish in that pond out there. But when you're able to get all that quality in one place, you're gonna have the wins, right? You think of Bayern, you do think that I guess you could argue that there should be a lot more UCLs, to your point, that they should have earned, but UCL is not easy to win. Trust me, I know the UCL is not easy to win, so I don't fault them for it. Edison also go, Mane makes less than Milner. That is my point. We as fans can jump on the internet, look at whatever transfer portals or salary portals are out there, and see what these players are making. When you see what you mean to the club, when you see the amount of games that you play, the amount of minutes, hours that you commit on the pitch, actual game time minutes, and you see that so-and-so players' base salaries higher than yours, it ends up being a problem. And I'm going to talk about this Liverpool model with regards to salary structure, with regards to even player ages and what their quote unquote career cycles need to be while at Liverpool. This is just the beginning. And Liverpool continued success. Other clubs are going to look to mirror it. So that's why I want to say, and I think I put this in the tweet, as a fans, the fans themselves need to reset. They need to reset how they look at clubs and clubs' loyalty to players, as we also will look at how players are loyal to clubs. But they go hand in hand. Let me hit up these comments. McLovin, the fact that Liverpool made sure not to celebrate Mane's AFCON to aid Salah's feelings while players like Sarr were celebrated for less by their clubs. My guy, that's an absolute perfect point. You could see it, you could feel it. Mane should have been like carried in, right? Mane should have been just completely referred to, anything that was talked about, the king of Africa, not the king of Senegal, not the king of Egypt, the king of Africa, right? That's how he should have been referred to. And he wasn't, because both players were in contract talks. And even if we want to think back, Salah's contract talks were front news, were in the headlines, was a topic. Mane wasn't the priority with regards to any of that. A player sees that, a player knows that, and the player kind of sees the writing on the wall and says, you know what? Let me see what my options are and be comfortable for a move. Calculated risk Liverpool's making, but it's all based off of scouting systems and their calculations and what goes in, what goes out. Big Morgan goes, Milner's overpaid, but once you got Milner being overpaid, Salah is going to dictate a salary, and Mane is going to be like, I don't care if Milner's overpaid. As a result, I'm underpaid. I'm underpaid. Loyalty is impossible in football. That, my friend, is a greater conversation that we will have on another show. Is loyalty dead in football? Club loyalty, so club to player loyalty, did it ever exist? Or is it dead? Player loyalty to club, did it ever exist? Is it dead? I'm hearing new age fans talking about going on loan, going on loan for a season, or actually giving up on their club and moving on. Fans loyalty, is that dead? We're going to talk about that on another show, 100%. Trust me, that's a panel show right there. That is a panel show talking about loyalty. My guy. Follow the Money, 100%. They talk about that. Wire, great series on HBO. Check it out. You follow the money. All things lead to the money. I can't deny this, and I do agree. Lone fans are a joke, but that's for another time. For another time. Okay. All right, let me do this. Now, last topic of the show, and again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. So well supported by you, and this is a time of day that I'm actually going to look to kind of look to be more consistent with, and if I can, make it my own. 2:15 I thought is nice and sweet. It's an odd time, easy to remember, and two, I want to do my best to actually keep shows within the 45 minutes to an hour. I know I'm closing in on a little over I'm going to get to the show being a little over an hour, but that's because of this interaction with you guys that I'm doing my best to be more comfortable with and to stay on track with the topics. But I was on a fantastic show, and I think I mentioned this earlier. Have Hope, HH, amazing show. My guy knows his football. He has amazing people on the panel. And I was fortunate enough to be on a few of his shows recently. And it was talking about players and this transfer window and players going. And as a Manchester City fan, that's happening as well, right? I talked about the players that have remained before Pep and are probably looking to be leaving under Pep. And then we were also obviously talking about players at Liverpool, the player that actually kicked off Klopp's phase one was Mane. And he's now left and moved on to Bayern. Liverpool did not look to extend his contract. All throughout this year, contract saga, contract drama has been happening with Mohamed Salah. No one can deny how important he's been to that club in terms of scoring goals. But players have different importance, right? Players have different impact, and no one can deny what Mane's impact is. And one could also say that you can't just necessarily look at a stat column and say this is why Mane is so important. But Mane's obviously been let go. It's been talked about many times about Liverpool's contract structure, wage structure, just how they manage things. And one thing that I want to say, first and foremost, because it actually came to my attention, someone actually called me out and said, "Oh, I know you, Vader. You're the guy that bashes Liverpool." And I was actually thrown for a little bit because I don't make it a point to talk bad about Liverpool, but I do address certain topics at the time, and I'm very forthcoming with it. Like, I'm obviously sharing my opinion, but I'm not overly disrespectful to Liverpool. I don't like Liverpool, but that's natural, right? Manchester City. But I do also point out where they have their successes and want to make note of that because, again, as a rival, you want to see what your competition's doing. But let me say this. If that person that was making the comment was coming off of maybe a criticism of Liverpool with regards to how their fan base tend to talk about their successes or their achievements, then yeah, he's going to be right. If it was referring to maybe my previous video where I agreed with them with their assessment of their past season with regards to calling it a failure, they're right. But I'm using their words, their description of what the season was, not necessarily how I would see it if it happened to be my team that was competing like that, competing to the last day and competing and actually winning cups. I would not be referring to it as a failure, but I'm using their words. Now, with regards to this right now, I want to be very honest here. I'm not bashing Liverpool. I actually want to point out the reality of sport and what's happening. If you're going to be looking at the stats, if you're going to be looking at algorithms to tell you how players are projected to perform in the future, or you're also looking at cost analysis and when's the right time to buy a player, when's the right time to sell a player, that will never be tied to any emotion. That will be never tied to any sentiment. That will never be tied to loyalty. It can't. It just doesn't work that way. So as fans, you need to understand that when it no longer makes performance or financial sense, the players are out the door. And the players are going to be out the door because as a club, Liverpool would rather risk losing a player a year early than keeping a player a year too long. And it's going to be hard to accept because when you're looking at the landscape of your competitors and you're seeing that they're strengthening and maybe they're going to be in a better position to compete for cups and trophies, they don't balance out because from a club standpoint, you're not measuring what's the best calculation to win today. It conflicts. To win today and to balance the books and to optimize the quality of your squad performance-wise, they don't go hand in hand. So fans are going to be frustrated. I know this sounds a little crazy and maybe I'm not expressing this correctly, but they don't go hand in hand. The pursuit for cups and maybe your best chances within this upcoming season may not match your pursuit to balance the books and not risk being out of line with your salary structure. Um, so when you see movements like Mane being let go, when you see movements like Salah's contract not or increase not being agreed to, and realistically, I believe playing out this season under his current structure and leaving on a free, it's because from a business standpoint that makes sense because of the age of the player possibly, and because of the salary that they're demanding, that money can be placed elsewhere. And this is going to be hard to hear, but because of the quality of Klopp, Liverpool can make that decision. Because Klopp has extended his contract and Liverpool know that they have a manager that can do more with less. And this is going to sound wild, but maybe the financial success of the club is best achieved with a cycle like this for Liverpool, as opposed to a cycle like this, right? Still increasing, slightly going up, as flat as you can possibly do it, but maybe the beneficial cycle for Liverpool and FSG is this. Maybe it's that. I would love to talk this through with with fans of all clubs that really look at the finances with a fine tooth comb under a microscope or magnifying glass. I would really like to have that conversation because I think that's where the frustration is with the fans. The fans want to be competing every damn season. We understand that. But the business has to run in cycles. The business has to have peaks and valleys. And you may not want to believe it, but a club like Manchester City or Chelsea, maybe coming down the road, Newcastle, or if we want to talk in the past, Man United. Yes, there was strengthening, but there was also an exodus of players. But it's more so on how you're going to manage your squad versus the landscape. And so fans need to just accept that, are we letting players go? Are we having players come in to still be amongst the best? Or are we letting players go and bringing players in, accepting that we're not going to be one of the best? And I think it's the latter for FSG. They're okay to take some losses and have moments like what Klopp can give you, a 1 in 3, 1 in 4, maybe 1 in 5 years with regards to one of their majors, right? They look at UCLs and EPL. That may be the FSG cycle. I don't know. I think it's a greater conversation I want to put out there, but we can't dismiss that Liverpool Klopp phase 2 is happening now. Mane was phase 1. He's out. Salah wants a contract extension. The numbers aren't matching out. He may leave on a free. Salah was part of that phase 1. I don't see him part of the phase 2. Darwin Núñez at 9. One would say Firmino replacement. Firmino hasn't left. Luis Diaz, 100%, is Mane's replacement. He came in. Mane wasn't having the productivity on that left wing. Diaz comes in. He's that replacement. Jota has come in as well. What is going to happen on that right side with Salah? Who knows? But like Manchester City and the players prior to Pep, only 2 remain. Klopp now, phase 1, we've seen. Phase 2 may see the exodus of Mane and Salah with the now squad of Núñez, Diaz, Jota, and forgive me, I don't know the other players that have come in. But that is today's show of Vader Games. Why always me? Let me put these comments up real quick. Yo, Big Morgan says the time of the show, 7:15 UK time, 2:15 Toronto time, is actually perfect for him. So because Big Morgan says it's perfect. I'm gonna do my best to repeat this moving forward. Edison, thank you so much for the comments as well. He goes, it's poor job by Liverpool's technical director. If I was TD for Liverpool, I'll let Salah decide either sign or leave. Okay. I appreciate every comment. And I've said this before, Edison. We are going to talk about AC Milan in depth. I want to do that with a combination of other people on the show. Big McLovin goes, now I know the conventional skepticism, but hear me out, Vader. No, okay, let me hear you out. I'll wait for your comment. So just before I wrap up, and I'm definitely going to put this while you get that comment up. Let me put this, because I always sign off every show. You know me. I got to sign off every show with the shoe cam. Because that's what the viewers requested. I do my best to give what the viewers want. It's a tried and true tradition. So let me put this cam up. And I am actually going to give a hint on this one. I'm giving a hint because I don't think that it's going to do justice on the camera. So I'm going to put this on screen for you guys. Take a look. Summertime. The legs are out. All right. Summertime. It's 30 degrees out here in Toronto. It is hot. I'm loving it, though. I'm sweating out all the toxins. But if you can see this, and this is the first time on Vader Games TV, the shoe cam, I'm actually going to tell you what shoes these are. Tell me if you like it. These are limited. Whenever I rock these, I get asked about them. But check these out. You guys are all familiar. You're all familiar with Air Force Ones. Okay? Air Force Ones, seamless. Don't know if this is being picked up on camera, but these are seamless, smooth. No wrinkles, nothing. All right? Seamless Air Force Ones. I rock these out only when the weather is perfect. Hope you guys and girls like that. I had to share that with you guys. And let me go to this last comment before I shut down this show. And I want to thank you all for tuning in. Let me go to it. All right. What you got for me? McLovin goes, what do you think of Nene to City? Oh, my God. This doesn't even end the show. This is going to lead to a huge conversation. So, Neymar to City. Neymar to City is an amazing talent. Amazing talent. He plays on that left wing. He is a phenomenal, skillful, jazz, hip-hop freestylist, if you were going to describe him as a player. Love his creativity. But for what we want to do as a club and get those elusive cups, I don't think he matches in, because he will be needed to be trusted. There's going to be a lot of demand on him to deliver. And it's a commitment not only offensively, but defensively. And I don't even think the numbers can work. Like, the club's not even looking, and I'm not saying that they're comparable. I'm not saying that Sterling and Neymar are the same player. Don't get me wrong. But if the money doesn't even want to be spent to keep a Sterling, who's been in the system and often been one of the first names that Pep will put down on a team sheet, don't know how Neymar does it. And I'm also at the point as a fan of the club, I don't want a mercenary. And I think that's what Neymar would be. I think he would be here, you put in a shift, but it'd just be like, let me just change the narrative with regards to how I'm perceived. And yeah, that's my take on it. Yo, good looking out, McLovin. Thank you for that comment. I think I'll explore that in greater depth. You got me thinking, though. I can't lie. You got me thinking. Yo, seamless are crazy, my guy. Yeah, jeez. But I got some more heat. I got some more heat to bring up in the future. So I want to thank you all, everyone, for tuning in. Much love, much respect. First things first, my peoples come first. My peoples, Manchester City fans, hit that follow button, like it, and share it, please. Every share, it is priceless. Costs you nothing, but it is priceless. Thank you so much. Do your part, and thank you for every comment. I'm looking to do these shows more often. I'm a clean up how the presentation is to make sure it's seamless. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I'm Vader Games. Always appreciative. Much respect. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I will catch you on the next show. Big ups.